This video is brought to you by my wonderful Patreon supporters, the folklore enthusiasts. Thank you as always. Now let's get into this video. Hello, lore explorers, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to plunge into a new attraction idea. So basically, think with me, a drop tower ride. However, instead of just the regular drops and showing height in the visuals of the entire park, you're actually being plunged into the depths of the ocean. Basically, this entire attraction idea is based off of the fear of the ocean, thalassophobia. And with that, I basically plan on making a poster advertisement for the attraction itself. But before we actually get into that, I'll just give you a little insight about the fear itself. Then I'll show you the process of making this poster. And then also on top of that, I will give you the story of the ride. And without further ado, let's get into this process. Thalassophobia is a fear of the ocean or other large bodies of water. A person may develop this phobia after a traumatic event. Healthcare professionals typically treat phobias with different types of therapy. Thalassophobia can manifest in a range of intensities from mild to severe. Some individuals may experience a mild fear of deep water or the ocean, while others might feel intense panic when looking at the sea or even viewing images of it. This phobia can prevent people from going to the beach, swimming in the ocean, or even traveling by boat. According to professional diagnostic criteria, approximately 7 to 9% of people in the United States have a specific phobia in any given year. However, there is no estimates of how many people live with thalassophobia specifically. All right, so for this process, I wanted it to be more geometric, and you'll see some of the inspiration photos that I was using during this process. And before I did a quick, almost thumbnail-esque sketch in order to make it make sense and make it make sense in my brain and structured in a way that makes sense of using the entire poster size and layout. You'll see to the left that was the original concept work that I drew, but it's not my favorite. So that's why I'm going for this more cartoonish, geometric kind of look, because for a poster, it did not make sense. It did not work together, and I really just didn't like it. I thought I was going to do a few options, but I end up just using one of these art boards. I'm taking inspiration from some Disney posters that show like the icon of their parks, or even some of the rides that they have. And my biggest inspiration for this obviously is the Hollywood Tower of Terror, because it is a facade based drop tower ride, and not like those usual drop tower rides where it's kind of the bare bones of it, where it's the tower and then they have all the seats around it. This is like an immersive story of like the Twilight Zone. And there's more effects in the ride, which I wanted to have in this one. And I will go into more of what this ride is actually about. But yeah, process wise, I put this all in Illustrator and just went at it. And this was a lot of just playing around with it. I have the very basic part kind of figured out, but this again was all just like playing around with it digitally and building up basic shapes and seeing how it worked in perspective wise. I struggled a lot with trying to figure out this perspective, because this isn't like a normal perspective that you can just find for references. So this was kind of a difficult thing to kind kind of make up in my head when you don't have a reference on hand. So it was all trial and error trying to figure this out. So, but with that, I will get into the story of this ride. I'm just gonna kind of go through the pre-show, like the line cue, and kind of the different stages of the ride and what you can expect visually for this ride. Guests will enter the queue through a dilapidated research station with flickering monitors showing old dive logs. A pre-show briefing shows the communication was lost with the prior team that was exploring legendary sea creatures. Guests step into a multi-level deep-sea submersible strapped in with over-the-shoulder harnesses like other drop tower rides. I wanted to use thalassophobia as a jumping off point, but I also wanted to do something different that would highlight some of the ocean creature legends. The bloop is one of my favorite ocean mysteries because it seems so eerie. If you don't know what the bloop is, it was a powerful ultra-low frequency underwater sound of uncertain origin detected by the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration in 1997 in the South Pacific. According to earlier speculations, the sound would have been emitted by a large, still undiscovered marine mammal, which would also be named bloop after the sound. Even though this sound was later attributed to an iceberg cracking and breaking away from an Antarctic glacier, the theories of what it could be really inspired me. With that, let's get back into what we can expect from this ride. When guests have finally boarded the ride and have been secured into their submersible, the first drop is a small one, simulating the submersible being dropped into the water, then lowered slowly into pitch darkness from a deep-sea descent. Through large windows, this ride vehicle can be a little more fantastical for the sake of the story. Guests will see all types of sea creatures, abandoned diving equipment, and sunken ships. We finally locate what remains of the last team's submersible. Suddenly, the lights flicker. Something knocks against the sub. Something monstrous appears out of the darkness. The ship's alarms blare. Next drop, the sub is being pulled downward by an unseen force. Wind blasts are added for sound effects, but also to engage the audience a little more. I want them on their toes a little bit. I want the experience to not only be visual and audio, but also have some feeling-based effects. Just as the creature fully emerges, a sudden explosion from the failing sub-thrusters launches the vehicle upward. The ride enters a series of randomized drops, sometimes stopping mid-fall, as tentacles or shadowy shapes flicker in the windows. At one point, the entire sub tilts slightly to the side, like it's being dragged off course. When it seems safe, the sub is yanked one final time down into the dark. A blinding flash of light, simulating a thermal explosion from the ship's emergency systems, sending the sub into a fast, smooth ascent straight to the surface. The sub breaches the water high into the sky, and this allows for the big visual of the guests seeing the entire park. But what comes up must come down, so with a final huge drop, the guests are plunged back to the ocean surface, and this will be accompanied by splash effects, which will be air blasts or mists. Finally, the guests will exit the ride vehicle and make their way through the post-show features. There is a distorted sonar recording and an eerie transmission.
You made it back! That was close. What was that?
And with that, let's get into the final reveal and my final thoughts. I had to go back to the drawing board for this one. This one was a little daunting. As much of it was, I thought it was a really good idea and a fun idea. My first pass at it was not up to par of what I really wanted it to be. And so, when I first did it, I did it not digitally. I drew it in my regular style, and that just did not come out the way that I'd like it to. The concept itself is okay, but I don't think what I wanted to do for the poster and the style that I wanted to do the poster in didn't really work with my drawing style, so they really did clash. So I had to scrap it and start over. So I would not say that I loved the process of doing this one, but I learned a few things. And if you want to see the painting and the process of me making that drawing and that concept work, you can check out some behind the scenes footage that I post over on my Patreon if you're interested in seeing what it ended up looking like. Um, so yeah, I love the way that it ended up coming out. I think now it is in the style that I want it to be and what I envisioned this type of poster to look like. So, yeah. But with that, Lore Explorers, today's journey comes to an end. Thank you for joining me on this journey of bringing this fear to life in a ride. Now, tell me in the comments, would you ride this ride? What other phobia-based rides would you like me to design next? If you like the music that I use in my videos, please go check out the Absinthetic Orchestra. There is also a full album with all the music that I usually use. Both the Absinthetic Orchestra and a link to my Patreon will be in the description below. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell icon so that you guys never miss when I post a new video. And as always, keep exploring.